Hi guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to Random Lifestyle Vlog. Today we're going to be talking about two new fragrances by Ariana Grande, Maude Vanilla, which is this one over here, and Maude Blush. Ariana Grande has been very successful with her fragrances, her first fragrances, which were very kind of girly and cute and also very much celebrity-like, were very popular. But then she kind of like changed and she started creating fragrances that were very much more like unique, more even like niche inspired. It started with Cloud. That one was like very popular. People loved it. I think they still do. But she just started this kind of period of creating fragrances that were a little more mature, a little more interesting, and they did not really smell like celebrity fragrances. Surprisingly, with these two fragrances, it seems like Ariana decided to move back in time a little bit and kind of do something that's going to be a little more celebrity-like. Even though it's not as kind of like young smelling, these fragrances give me a massive celebrity vibe. But let's have a closer look at the fragrances. So these are the bottles. I have to admit I don't love them, but I don't really hate them either. They're just like, I don't really know what to think about them. I mean, that's not really the most important thing about the fragrance, is it? So let's have a quick look at the notes first. So this one here, which is Maude Vanilla, the top notes are musk, plum, and pink freesia. The middle notes of praline and orris root, and then base notes of vanilla and coconut. So judging by those notes, I would never expect this fragrance to smell the way it smells. So how does it smell? So if you tried some like previous Ariana's fragrances, you'll probably just know what I mean. But the opening definitely gives me a lot of God is a Woman. So I do definitely see the similarity, even though the notes are different, but there is this kind of like very airy, slightly juicy fruitiness in here, and it does remind me quite a lot about this particular fragrance. Then in the dry down, I do get a little bit of Cloud, which I can't really say that this reminds me of Cloud a lot, but it's definitely like there at some point. And it's not like a proper dry down, it's like somewhere in the middle. After I would maybe say like a half an hour, I start to detect those kind of like Cloud notes. But it's just a little bit of that. It's definitely much more similar to the God is a Woman in the opening. So you definitely get that fruitiness in the opening, and it just settles down to this kind of like a fruity vanilla in the dry down. So I find this fragrance to be pretty, but there's nothing really that groundbreaking about it. And even though this fragrance definitely reminds me of two Ariana's fragrances that I really love and I think they're very beautiful and quite unique, this still gives me quite a lot of this kind of like celebrity fragrance vibe, which is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on what you're obviously looking for. Then we have Maude Blush, and here the top notes are passion fruit, raspberry, pink pepper, and bergamot. The middle notes rose, pear, and magnolia. And then we have musk, dreamwood, sandalwood, and ambroxan. And here, same situation, very pretty fragrance, but I get a massive celebrity fragrance vibe from it. It's fruity, it's a little bit like, it has this like slight sourness to it. It's slightly powdery as well. Very fruity, very kind of spring and summertime appropriate. I don't really get much of the woodiness. It is nice, it is just nice. The funny thing is that the first thing that came to my mind when I saw and sniffed these fragrances are these two fragrances. These are her like older scents. This is Ari and this is Sweet Like Candy. They actually even look a little bit like similar color wise, and I do feel like the Maude fragrances are not necessarily similar, but are kind of like a reflection of these two fragrances. Like if Ariana Grande wanted to kind of take those fragrances and kind of make them more suitable for like her current age, it seems to me like that. So with these two fragrances, Ari is this kind of like a fruity, juicy fragrance with some whipped cream, quite delicious, but like obviously very, very girly. Whereas the Sweet Like Candy is a little bit more powdery just as sweet, but a little more powdery. It has a little bit of the sourness in here. We have almost like a similar situation here. The vanilla mod is sweet, it's a little bit thicker, whereas the blush is obviously a little bit more powdery with that extra sourness. So I do kind of see the relation between these fragrances. I'm not saying these are similar. I think there might be a slight similarity between the Sweet Like Candy and Mod blush, but they're not like particularly similar. But I think these are like kind of new interpretation of her like early years fragrances, and that's a good idea, right? Like obviously she's older now, she might actually want to have fragrances that will remind her of her like older creations, but will be a little more adult. These fragrances don't have massive projection. I would say vanilla one is like moderate projection, whereas this one is definitely a little bit closer to your skin. The lasting power is all right. It's not, again, mind-blowing, but it's okay. I'll probably say, again, the vanilla would last a little bit longer on me, like maybe up to like 5 hours, whereas this one will be maybe like 4 hours or so. Also, the blush fragrance kind of turns to more like a skin scent at some point. It kind of like, at some point, like melts with your like skin natural scent, so you can't really tell like 100% whether you can actually smell it or not. So are they worth buying? That's a difficult one to answer. It very much depends on what you want and what you expect. Well, first of all, these fragrances are pretty, but they're not groundbreaking. They're not very unique. They are quite generic, in fact, and they do give me a massive celebrity vibe. That's obviously my opinion. They're going to be perfect fragrances for spring and summer. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a great daytime fragrance, quite unassuming, not like super strong, then maybe you should consider one of these. These fragrances are obviously quite inexpensive, so that's always a good thing. I also think that if you, for example, used to be a fan of Ariana's older fragrances, these ones over here, but like maybe they seem too kind of like young or like juvenile for you at this point, then maybe you should try these. These seem to be like a more modern kind of reflection of her like older fragrances, so who knows, you might actually like them. Okay guys, so this is everything from me today. Let me know if you tried any of these fragrances, and what do you think? Do you see the reflection of these old fragrances in them? I'm actually really curious if anyone sees this kind of like, I don't want to say similarity, but this kind of like connection between these two pairs. But I would love to know your thoughts, so please share them with me in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. For more fragrance related content, check those videos over here. I'm going to see you very soon. Take care. Bye.